Back with you on this Monday edition, Ed Schultz News and Commentary. I've taken a little bit of a break. You know, I watched the conventions and I thought about podcasting, videocasting, and all that stuff. And I think, I'm not going to dissect this stuff. I'm going to wait till it's all over with because in the end, I'm not really sure what it means. So here we are on the campaign trail. It didn't take Trump very long to almost implode. He's gone after a Gold Star family. He's gone after Paul Ryan. He had to mop that up. He mopped it up today, but I give him credit. It was the most detailed economic message I think we've ever heard from Donald Trump, and it was red meat to the Chamber of Commerce, to small business. He wants to move the tax rate down to 15% instead of 35%. Then I thought, oh gosh, Mitt Romney's running for president again. I didn't know that. In fact, if you look at what Trump said today, a lot of it was Mitt Romney and what he was talking about back in 2012. He wants 3 different tax brackets, wants to simplify the system, go to 12, 25, and 33%. So that is also Romney kind of talk. But Trump has got an uphill battle in a big way. The question is his play on the economy, is his play on trade going to ignite enough white working men that didn't vote in years past to wake them up with the hatred of Hillary Clinton and make a difference in this election? Now, that's how I see it. I could be totally off base on all of this, but that's just the hunch I have. Some of the polling in some of the states is pretty interesting, although the national polling today, the Monmouth poll, comes out and shows that Hillary Clinton has a substantial lead into the double digits. For more on this, let's turn to the expert Bob Shrum, Democratic strategist and professor at USC. Bob, good to have you back with us.
Glad to be here, Ed.
I get a feeling that Trump is in Reconstruction territory right now. Where is his campaign? Your thoughts?
Well, he's trying to reconstruct himself. I don't think he'll be very successful. He's boring when he reads off a teleprompter, and I think he won't do it very often. And also, he can't unsay all the things he's already said. I think people have come, for example, in that Monmouth poll, to a pretty clear judgment about him that he's unfit to be president. And the other thing that's striking in the Monmouth poll is only about a third of voters care about or want to hear about Hillary Clinton's emails anymore. So, I think banging away at that isn't going to do the Republicans any good at all. But the state polls are even worse. I mean, the notion that Hillary Clinton is leading in Georgia, has a big lead in Pennsylvania, and is competitive in Utah tells you that we're in a very different territory than we've been in the last few years. It may revert to the traditional battlegrounds, but I think there are going to be some surprises.
So it's hers to lose. I mean, if she just steadies the ship from here on out, it could be a blowout. What do you think?
I think that's possible, but I also think it could be, 6-point race, 5-point race, but it could also be 10 or 11 or 12 points. And his best chance, I'm not one of these people who thinks, well, we got to wait another 2 or 3 weeks because we have to see whether her convention bounce fades.
Yeah.
What we're seeing is the polling amplifying her bounce. Usually, you begin after about a week to see your bounce go down some. Instead, hers appears to be going up. So I think Trump's got a huge challenge in front of him.
This is Trump on trade. Bob. It seems like this is like his best ace in the deck. I mean, this is where he feels the most comfortable when he's talking to people about trying to make America great again. Here it is.
One of the most important reforms of all is trade reform. As Bernie Sanders has said, Hillary Clinton has bad judgment. Said it many times. But we've also seen the terrible Obama-Clinton judgment right here for everybody to see in Detroit. Hillary Clinton has supported the trade deals, stripping this city and this country of its jobs and its wealth. She supported Bill Clinton's NAFTA. She supported China's entrance into the World Trade Organization. She supported job-killing trade deal, and that was a really bad one with South Korea. And she supports the Trans-Pacific Partnership, not now, but very soon if she wins, and we can't let her win. because that will be a disaster for Detroit and everybody else.
Pretty profound pickup on your point. He's not too exciting on a teleprompter.
He's like an amateur actor trying to read for a part on Broadway.
Yeah, no, it's a different Trump. There's no question about that. But I think he's in a position where he knows he can't screw it up, and he has to be detailed at that level. But this seems to be where his comfort zone is in going after Clinton. What do you think?
I think it is his comfort zone. I think it's outrageous to say that she's going to be for the TPP. I think she's made it pretty clear that she's not going to be for it. So whatever you think of it, she's not going to be for it. And he also can't help spoiling his point. So when he was talking, for example, about automotive jobs coming back to Michigan, he said, they don't have to be in Mexico. They can come here, and people here can work for less. Well, that's not going to be very appealing to people either. I just think trade is an important issue. It is not the overriding issue in this election. One of the overriding issues in this election is a fundamental one. Can this man be trusted to sit in the Oval Office? And right now, the answer to the American people is no. Mm-hmm. I think his only chance to change that perception would be in the debates. I doubt very much that he would spend the time preparing for the debate, so he'd actually go in there knowing what he was talking about. I think he'll have a much more difficult time than he did in these multi-candidate Republican debates, just throwing out whatever pops into his head, no matter whether it's accurate or not. He'll be held to account. So I think this race is pretty much frozen until the debates. We may see a few gyrations, but it's pretty much frozen until the debates. And that assumes he decides to show up because, of course, he says the debates are rigged.
Can you ever remember in politics a candidate not supporting the Speaker of the House of his own party, or even going down that road and then having to mop it up later on?
Well, when he mopped it up, Ed, and he did the endorsement, he read it off a piece of paper, and he sounded like a third grader trying to prove that he had finally learned to read. It was halting, unconvincing. Look, if you look at a lot of Republican leaders, they wish he wasn't there. Some of them have actually gone so far as to endorse Hillary Clinton. A lot of them are not going to vote for him. Some of them who say they're supporting him are not going to vote for him when they get into the polling place. And afterwards, they're going to try to put the Republican Party back together. And they have some advantages, by the way. In 2018, there are 25 Democratic senators up and only 8 Republicans.
Yeah.
So that midterm could be tough. And if Hillary Clinton's president, she needs to avoid the mistake of ignoring the midterms. We need to have an every election strategy in the Democratic Party.
If Trump has been so bad as of late, how did he ever win how did he get more votes than any other Republican candidate? How did he just take it to him? I mean, right now, outside of Trump, who do the Republicans have?
Well, actually, they have some, I think, serious people with whom I happen to disagree, but who would have much more appeal in a general election than he does. I mean, they have candidates who, for example, would be leading by a big margin in Utah, and Arizona wouldn't be a competitive state, and Georgia wouldn't be a competitive state.
Yeah.
So that they have other people. How did he win? He won because he appealed to the Tea Party types, the angry types who were enlisted in 2010 and 2014 to get the Republicans the House back and the Senate back. But those folks really don't have a sense, or nor do they care about what you have to do to win a general election. So he consolidated them. He appealed to them. It's a group of people who are focused on grievance, anger, and resentment. Resentment, for example, about the cultural and demographic changes in the country. But that's not the general electorate. Mm-hmm. He's doing worse with white voters than Mitt Romney did. Mm-hmm. He's losing college-educated white voters, which is incredible for a Republican. And he's getting 1% of the African-American vote, and I don't think he's getting more than 10% or 11 or 12% of the Latino vote. Unless he changes those facts, he cannot win. He's in a demographic cul-de-sac.
So in your lifetime, this is the weakest Republican candidate you've ever seen?
Yes.
Yeah, that's...
Barry Goldwater, but I want to make a distinction here.
Yeah.
Barry Goldwater was a weak candidate in a much less polarized country, except for the division between the South and the North and the rest of the country over civil rights. But Barry Goldwater was a principled person.
Well, he won election.
I mean, you might disagree with him on issue after issue after issue, and he was really kind of a libertarian more than he was a conservative. But you might disagree with him on issue after issue after issue, but you could not, and you couldn't trust him with nuclear weapons, but you couldn't doubt that he was a person of conviction. Donald Trump seems to have no convictions except a belief in himself.
And finally, your thoughts on Hillary Clinton's speech at the convention?
I thought she did a very good job. In fact, I thought the whole convention was brilliantly orchestrated, one of the best conventions I've ever seen. And she managed to reach out, and she dealt, you can't deal with the trust issue directly. You can't get up there and say, by the way, I'm honest and trustworthy. But you can convince people, and that's what I think the polling indicates she did, you can convince people that she understands their concerns and that she's committed to do something about them, that they can trust her to do something about the things that bother them, the things that are important in their lives. And that was the biggest thing she did in that speech.
Bob Shrum, always great to visit. Appreciate your time, my friend. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
You bet. Democratic strategist, Professor USC Bob Shrum with us here on Ed Schultz News and Commentary, and we're back.
Hey, folks, you've heard me talk about BioGreen Clean. I'm going to show you right now on my airplane just how tough this is. I want you to keep in mind, chemical-free, 100% plant-derived, biodegradable. It is the safest cleaner that you can get, and it's the most effective. Go to our website, wegoted.com, or go to biogreenclean.com. www.biogreenclean and order today.
We perpetuate a culture of crime all the way from Wall Street right down to the main street in our hometowns. It's worse than it has been since FDR took control of the problem and said we can't count on industry taking care of the American labor. They probably have already engaged into some type of criminal cover-up, and the law prohibits the government from even doing anything about it.
Catch America's lawyer Mike Papantonio on YouTube at youtube.com/GoLeftTV.
Well, I have to tell you, having been on vacation for a little over a week, I do want to share this experience with you that I have. I've never played in a golf tournament in my life. Never. I've watched a lot of them. And being a former sports guy, obviously I've covered them. But I've never actually stood over a golf ball when I had to make a putt to see what it felt like. That happened to me. Now, this is just goofy the way the human mind and the body works and reacts to things. I've gone out and played golf for years. I love it. I'm a 18 handicap. Some days I'm a 12 handicap. Some days I play really well. So I played in this seniors golf tournament at the Maple River Golf Club in Mapleton, North Dakota on vacation. My son is the golf pro there. And there's 25 guys for 15 spots, and the match play is next weekend. Well, I wasn't going to go anyway next weekend, even if I qualified, because I'm going to go fishing. But anyway, I wanted to get in this tournament and have some fun. And so I shoot an 89, and you know how it goes. It could have been an 82, but I had a couple of bad holes. All right, everybody's got those golf stories. So I shoot an 89, and lo and behold, there's a playoff for the final spots. There's 4 guys for 3 spots. All right, so to make a long story short, I lost. I was the odd man out and the other 3 guys. And I have to tell you, when I was on number 2 at the second playoff hole, and I'm standing over a 4-foot putt, and I had to make it to stay in it, I got nervous. I mean, I have been in front of the camera for 40 years. I have been in radio. I've spoken at major conventions. And I'm standing over a 4-foot putt, trying to stay alive in a qualifier for a match tournament in Mapleton, North Dakota. But there were about 35 people watching, and I had a different feeling in my gut. I don't know why, but I did. It's good to be back with you. Ed Schultz, News and Commentary. We're back tomorrow.